welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm excited that you guys decided to join me, and as always, we have a fantastic show today. In fact, we're going to be talking about, when parents pour into their children, and why is that important? Well, let me just tell you that You Didn't Get the Memo show is really about providing you, the viewer, with relevant, factual, mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. I tell you, we really strive to bring you great guests from different disciplines, highlighting the work, the sacrifice, progress, and differences that people all around the country are making to society. I want to remind you that if you guys have questions during today's show that you can, or comment, you can place them in the comment section and we'll do our very best to get to them. And if not, I assure you we will respond after the show. But today, it is my pleasure and my honor to have Miss Victoria Twee V. McDowell on the show. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about Victoria. Her resume reads as if she's someone that's been living more than her 17 years. That's the first thing. She has a black belt in Taekwondo. She's known as the voice of San Jose Jr. for singing the U.S., the Vietnamese, and the African American anthems at San Jose City Hall, and too many community events to even mention here. In 2015, she won Best Emotional Vocals on V-Star Kids, and she actually signed a one-year contract with Paris by Night Production. In 2016, she traveled to Naples, Italy to perform for a PBS special. In 2017, when I met Victoria, 2018 and 2019, she won the Gold Star for the Northern California NAACP AXO competition for contemporary and classical vocals. In 2018, she won the South Bay Teen Idol competition. In 2019, she was crowned Miss Teen Vietnam USA. And in 2020, she won the Gold Star for the Northern California NAACP AXO competition for contemporary vocals, classical vocals, and for the piano and classical instruments. I have to tell you, this young woman has done so much. Victoria, I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for joining me on You Didn't Get the Memo, and I'm looking forward to us talking with you about what you are doing, what you have done, and accomplished so many things. So let's start with, first of all, let's tell us a little bit about you growing up, because I gave like this extensive intro, but let's talk a little bit about, because people are probably saying, well, when did she have the time to really grow up? So can you tell us just a little bit about who Victoria is and what it's been like growing up as a youth?
For sure. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm so thankful to be here today. And going back to my childhood, I was always taught that I could do and be anything that I want to in the future. So I definitely was very busy as a child. I started with soccer, then I moved to dance because I just had more of a passion in dance. And then at the same time, I was also starting piano, I started violin, I started taekwondo. I just continuously got to try new things, and my parents always supported me every step of the way. So I would just say thank you so much to my parents for always supporting me. And I not only was able to do so many things in terms of activities and extracurriculars, but I also was given a lot of time to hang out with friends and socialize. So in general, I would say I had a really great childhood, and I'm really thankful to be living in Los Gatos, California, and to have my parents especially.
Yeah, there we go. Always little technical difficulties, but thank you for that, Victoria. So let me ask you this. How long have you been singing? And how did you get involved in singing? Because I didn't even tell the real backstory about, how many languages you actually are able to sing in. So go for it. Talk about it.
I my parents found out that I really enjoyed singing when I was about 3 or 4 years old because the main reason was I was actually in the bathtub and I came out and said, "Dad, I wrote a song." And he recorded me and I just sang it for him. And that's when they knew that I definitely would have a passion for music. So at that time, I then started piano. And then I started singing on stage at events when I was about 7 or 8 years old because I was given my first show when I was in Vietnamese school actually, and I just continued singing from there, and it was just amazing. I over the years I learned a lot of languages, so I primarily speak and sing in English and Vietnamese, which I can both speak, read, and write in. And then I also sing in Italian, Latin, Spanish, and I am currently learning Neapolitan and French.
Wow. Um, all I can say is, wow. Okay. All right. So you mentioned about your parents. You told your dad. So you're singing in the bathtub. I think that's what I heard you say. And Dad, I
Yes.
wrote a song. Okay. So you know, where does this inspiration come from? Who is it that you admire? So tell us about that.
Um, I think my mom, she is an amazing singer, and she didn't really go out and sing at all, but she used to sing in a choir at church when she used to live in Vietnam, but when she was growing up in Vietnam. And so I feel like I definitely got my voice from her, but in terms of my passion for singing, I think I just would always be listening to music, and I always just had an old soul and loved to listen to older artists like Whitney Houston, Beyonce when she was younger, and I was obsessed with Michael Jackson. And I also was into the more modern stuff, like Taylor Swift at the time was a huge one for me, Miley Cyrus. But I was just always surrounded by music. My dad always tells me stories about how when my brother and I were really young, he used to play classical music while we were just doing stuff when we were still unable to talk. And so I was always surrounded by music, and I just have fell in love with it completely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Awesome. I heard you throwing a little Beyonce and all of this, but you've also, Victoria, you are a classically trained singer, right?
Yes.
So, and I've had an opportunity to hear you, do some opera. So the fact that you're so well rounded, I find that very, very interesting. And also, it has to be for you, knowing that you can sing in several different languages. By the way, what are those languages that you're able to sing in?
The main ones are English, Vietnamese, Italian, Latin, and Spanish, and I'm currently working on Neapolitan and French.
Okay. Amazing. I mean,
Thank
Victoria, I
you.
can hardly speak English, and to know that here you are singing in all these different languages. But I think that that's wonderful. But you play musical instruments too. I talked a little bit about that in the opening. So what musical instruments do you play?
I play the piano and I play the violin.
Okay. Piano and violin. Awesome. By the way, violin is one of my favorite instruments that I love to hear. So I'm always drawn to that. So the fact that you play that as well as piano. And I don't want to leave out that you also have a very talented brother too.
Yes, he also plays violin, piano, and the guitar really well. So he's also a huge inspiration to me just because we grew up trying new things and developing these new talents together. And so
Mhm.
seeing him succeed is really
Yeah.
inspirational to me as well.
But that's got to be pretty cool. You guys being able to jam together, come up with, different, tunes, songs, writing music together. So I think that that's awesome. But that's why it goes to the importance of having parents who pour into their children. And you guys are truly, truly very fortunate that happens. So, listen, I want to continue, and when we come back, I want you to talk about how you manage such a busy professional schedule as well as school. And I understand you're a 4.0 student. So, when we come back, don't go anywhere, but we're going to talk about that, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
If doctors, nurses, and grocery store clerks can wear a mask for 10 or 12-hour shifts, you can wear a mask for an hour or less when you go to the store. Do your part. Mask up, America.
Hi, if you're just tuning in, I am here with Miss Victoria McDowell, McDowell, and we're talking about when parents pour into their children. And Victoria has done so many things in her 17 years of being on this earth, and it is absolutely phenomenal. So I want you guys to make sure that you grab your kids, tune up, and if you're wondering how they do it, well, listen, before we went to break, I asked Victoria if she would come back and let's talk about how she manages such a busy professional schedule as well as carrying a 4.0 in school. So, Victoria, what's the secret? Because I know a lot of young people are looking at that and they're basically saying, there's no way. There's no way. So how do you manage a schedule like that?
I think my main two things, the first one would definitely be my parents. They help me a lot with keeping my schedule in order and helping me know what is coming up and what I need to be ready for in terms of events. And my second one, I know it might sound a little cheesy, but having fun with what you do, because being able to manage your time goes a lot with being able to enjoy what you're doing in the moment. And so the more that you're not enjoying what you're doing, the more difficult it is to stay on track with your schedule because you don't feel as motivated. So I would just say make sure you're doing things that you love and make sure you're not overscheduling and double booking. But also having someone to help you with keeping that schedule in order is also really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you said a key word, enjoying what you do, having fun. I know there's a quote out there that basically says that if you're doing what you love and you're having fun, you've never feel like that you've ever had to work a day in your life. And that's what I gather from you and from knowing you over the last 4+ years. That's what I see. You just love what it is, and you actually thrive in that. By the way, I love the fact, thank you guys for your comments. We've already had some people, and they just see you, what a brilliant mind. And so I say, yeah, absolutely, that is so true. So listen, Victoria, with the fact that you are having to manage the schedule, but at the same time, I'm certain that you've also had to overcome some obstacles. So can you talk about what some of those obstacles are that you've had to overcome as a person, as a singer? So can you speak to that, please?
Yes, so I think my two main obstacles would have to do, first of all, with my ethnicity, and second of all, would have to be with a traumatic experience that my family went through. The first one, as someone who is mixed, half Vietnamese and half African American, it was definitely difficult for me to try and fit into every community that I was singing 4, and I'm constantly in different communities because of the different languages that I sing, which is something that I definitely cherish so much. But it definitely was difficult to try and fit in, which I realized now is not as important as just being there and being yourself and enjoying the people that you're around. And so I think I kind of had to grow into that, and that was something I definitely overcame. And my family and I were in a traumatic experience about 2 years ago, and that also was very difficult, not only for myself, but for my entire family, just because of things that they had to go through and um, the mental toll that it can take. But I mean, just 3 days after the event, I was already back on stage because I had made prior commitments. But I think that was something that definitely took a toll on me. But I definitely have been able to build on that, learn from the experience, and just try and become a better person now.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Victoria. I think that it is important, and I can only imagine um, things are very different from when probably your dad or I, when we were coming up, kind of. Because we still had to deal with different issues, and the fact that, thank you for just being transparent and honest about what it is, and also just being raised as a biracial child. Very, very difficult. And although it's not unheard of, as you and I know, we are in 2020, but there are still people who can't relate, who can't wrap their arms around it. And you know what? I say to those people, well, that's their issue, not yours. That's their issue. And that's kind of how we have to look at it. And to anybody who's looking at this, I would just say that to anyone, because as my son would say, don't look at the messenger, look at the message. And the message that you're sending is that of positivity. It's that of going out there and making things happen and doing things. So I think that that's absolutely just 100% awesome. So you keep doing what you're doing, okay? Because you're doing a fantastic job. But look, I want to bring your dad in right now because I've got a couple of questions for him as well. So let's see if we can get him in here. All right. Hi there, Vincent. How are you?
Great, great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Listen, we're talking to your wonderful, lovely, talented daughter, and I have a question for you. I want to know, why is it, in your opinion, that it's so important for you as a parent to develop your children? Because there are other parents that are watching this, and they're probably saying, look, I got to work, I got to do all these other things, and not without saying that you aren't doing the same thing. But I think it probably comes down to you made something a priority. So what would you say in that regards as it relates to you as a parent pouring into your children?
Okay. Well, again, like Victoria said, thank you very much for having us. Thank you very much for showcasing Victoria on your show today. But for me, it was a priority to pour into my kids. And not only my kids, but the kids that I meet in the community through other programs that I'm involved with. I wanted my very best to expose them as much as possible. And I started them very, very early with violin lessons, guitar lessons, even at 4 years old. And I used to pick something every year to be involved in so they could find something they would enjoy. And my son has gone from football, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, and Victoria from soccer to dancing, and all types of dancing, ballet, tap, jazz, you name it, she's done it. And then, but she really gravitated toward singing and piano playing. So we spent more time with that. And once we found out what they enjoyed, we focus on that. And I think it's very important to pour as much into them and make it a priority. Every weekend we were somewhere with my son playing basketball or football, with Tori with one of our shows, singing or performing somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad to hear you say, actually, I think I said to you when I was speaking to you earlier, your son is also a talent in his own right. And I don't want him to think, so we'll have to bring him back on. But just the comments are just awesome. People are, the, this is the most talented and beautiful inside and out young lady. Also, someone actually said, I wish she could loan me her mind. So, hey, look, and before you loan it to them, can I just get in on that? That's for sure. But I'm sorry.
Real quick, one thing I noticed that in many years ago, I noticed that in most countries, no matter what country those kids are in, they can learn that language. No matter what they were doing at a young age, they would learn how to do that. So my thing was, there's nothing that any kid cannot do if they had the opportunity.
Hmm.
And that's why I try to give them many opportunities possible.
Yeah. I agree with you. And one of the things that a comment from someone who's in the chat room did say, parents are very important. And I think that we have become so caught up in this environment that people forget that, hey, children need their parents. I don't care what you say. Children need their parents. And as a result of that, sometimes people just get caught up with just work, work, work. But if you aren't pouring into your children, then you've got to ask yourself, what type of individual are they going to be when they become an adult, right? And when they have children, because children learn from their parents. We all know that. Yeah, as a fact. So the fact that you would talk about that. But I have one other question for you is I'd like for you to talk about you and your wife's values, because that also is important. You guys are working as a team. And of course, today's show was about the importance of why parents need to pour into their children. So talk about that. I've had the opportunity to meet your wife. She's very quiet. She's behind the scenes. I mean, if you just didn't know who she was, people would just tend to just kind of overlook her. But talk about those values and what you guys bring to the table as parents.
Okay. Well, values would be definitely putting God first, making sure you say your prayers, make sure that you try to learn as much as possible, and giving back. And I think in the community, people say that we've done quite a bit in regards to supporting nonprofits and different groups in regards to raising funds for different and needs. And then with education, you know, if you get less than an A, I don't know why. So we talk about that. So both my kids have been very well in school, and it's not because, yes, I think they're very smart kids, but it's a matter of staying on top of the work and making sure that you get the work done on a timely fashion and keeping up with it. And even when they take to regular school, but they also, both of them, since 5 years old, also went to Vietnamese school every week. So they both can speak, read, and write in Vietnamese. And my thing was, if other kids can do it, why can't they do it? So they did. And of course, Victoria's gone to learn other languages. So they both take Spanish in high school, and through school. But the values will basically be God, education, family, and your community.
Yeah. Look, I've always said, first and foremost, faith, family, job, third, because without that, what would we have? So thank you for talking about that. Look, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to bring Victoria back in. I know that Victoria can hear me. And one of the things that I want her to talk about is because she actually won in the 111th NAACP National Convention, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I'd like for her to talk about that. So don't go anywhere, you guys. Thank you so much for your comments. But guess what? We will be right back, all right?
because the fight isn't over yet.
You will see me choose to protect my community by wearing a face cover.
And even with my face covered,
you will see me.
As a son.
As a man with a never quit attitude.
As a fighter for change.
Join me in wearing a face cover.
To help stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Because this is one small act of kindness
that has the power to make a big difference.
Hi, I want to thank you guys again. For those who are just tuning in to You Didn't Get the Memo, we have, as always, a great show. And my guest today is Miss Victoria Twee McDowell. And we are talking about why parents need to pour into their children. And if you guys are just tuning in, listen, I'm talking to a 17-year-old teenage phenom who sings in 5 different languages. She's carrying a 4.0 in school. She is a teen model, a teen spokesperson. So many things, but all of that has to do with the upbringing that she is receiving from her parents. And so I want to welcome Victoria back in. Victoria, before we went to break, wanted to get you to talk about this. Talk about winning the 111th NAACP Lift Every Voice and Sing national competition, and explain to people who are saying, oh, what is that? Because that's a big thing. When we say national, we're talking about you were up against how many other youth?
In terms of the national competition in AXO, it was a couple hundred, I would say, and probably almost 1,000 kids. And for the competition that I did, I actually have no clue. I just know that it was a lot of people.
Okay, so, but you took 3rd place, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, what was that like? I mean, 3rd place among hundreds of other people.
It was insane because actually, I attend the NAACP National Convention every year for the National AXO competition, and I've won Northern California for the past 4 years now, I do believe, and so I attend the national convention to compete every year, and I haven't won an actual medal in the national competition for AXO, but I always end up winning in some other way, and I think that's something I definitely live by. So as an example, when I competed in AXO in San Antonio, Texas, after the competition was over, I actually was discovered by someone, and they asked me to perform at the national convention a couple days later for it was to give an award to Willie Brown for his amazing work in the community. And I actually got to sing in front of Bill Clinton, which was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And sitting at the table and being able to meet him was just incredible. And so for this past year, I also competed in the Lift Every Voice and Sing competition that they had along with the AXO national competition. And this competition was open to anybody, so it was a person of any age. It was also groups, choirs, any person or any performer. And I know that the 1st place winner was, I do believe that it was a group, and the 2nd place winner was also a group, I do believe. And so being able to even just win a medal at all in that competition and be played for the national convention that next week was incredible. I think it's really hard to take in sometimes just because I don't really process it to that extent most of the time. But yeah, I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, you know what, Victoria, a couple of things that I want to say to you is, first of all, you kept coming back. A lot of people, they feel like they're in it. I didn't win a medal, but it's the experience. that you also got and you're getting from each time coming back. The other thing is to take, I think you were third place in the Lift Every Voice and Sing, and it wasn't just people who were in your age group. You had all of these people, you said choirs, people. For you to win a medal, third place, you have a lot to hold your head up and be proud about. So, I say you go girl, okay? Because that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And the other thing is this is a message to other people. Don't quit when the road seems hard, when it seems like everything is helter skelter. You didn't quit. You just keep going. It's the experience, right? And that is why I just think that you are such a phenomenal young woman. I totally love it. So I'm gonna switch gears on you for a moment because I want you to talk about being a teen spokesperson and a teen model. How did that happen? Again, I'm still trying to wrap my arms around. You're doing all of these things, and for which I am so very happy to see you doing. But talk about becoming a teen spokesperson and model, please.
I think being able to become a role model to a lot of other youth was a huge thing for me, and being able to attend events and have kids that were younger than me come up to me and say that they wanted to be like me when they grew up, or they really looked up to me and I inspired them. It just truly warms my heart. And after winning Miss Teen Vietnam USA in the pageant in 2019, I had an even larger platform to be able to share my voice and help inspire others to not only chase after their dreams, but to truly just I want to give more people opportunity to really achieve what they want to in their future. And for me, I hope to become a doctor in my future, and that's what I'm currently applying for as I'm applying to college right now. And I'm also thinking of becoming a pediatrician just because I love working with kids so much. And so being able to be someone that not only is an inspiration in terms of music and performing, but also just in the different speeches and things that I've had to do at specific events for activism or for really positive topics. It's been amazing, and yeah, just being able to get these messages and comments from people saying that I inspire them just makes me even more motivated to keep doing more and going out into my community and continuing to create change. I think you're muted, sorry. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. So, all of these things that you're talking about, your parents pouring into you, setting you up for success. To me, how awesome is that? How awesome is that? All right, so here we go. The time just flies. So here's my other question to you, Victoria. Let's talk about what other projects you're involved in, and two-part question, what in your life are you most grateful for?
Okay. There's so much that goes to this question. To answer the first part of the question, some of my main upcoming projects include I just finished recording my CD, which will hopefully be coming out pretty soon. This is a Vietnamese CD, and this will be my third album to come out, and so I'm very excited about that. I just did a photo shoot for a specific belt brand, and they will be coming out with promo pics, so I'm very excited for that as well. Some more things. I have a lot of events coming up, mostly virtual just because of the pandemic right now, but one of the main ones I'm really excited about is this Thursday. I will be performing at San Jose City Hall for the unveiling of the Black Lives Matter flags that they will be, or banners that they will be putting up at City Hall. So I'm very excited for that because that is an amazing cause, and um, I hope that a lot of people come by to see the unveiling of it. But yeah, I have been working on those things, and I'm super excited to share them with everybody. I definitely have to say that I am most grateful for my parents, and they continue to, as you said, set me up for success. And I think now that I'm applying to college, all of the things that have happened are continuing to, all the things that have happened in my life are continuing to become really useful and helpful for my college applications. And sometimes I never even realized that there were certain things that I did in my past, just because I think it's really hard to remember all of those things. But now that I'm having to put it all down on paper, it's really crazy to just bring it all in, especially the numbers when it comes to views and views on YouTube, and people that have viewed me online, which is also incredible.
Wow. Amazing, Victoria. Absolutely amazing. I stand in awe of you, and just such a huge amount of respect for your parents and what they've done. I just think that that is phenomenal. So when we talk about, and I love the fact, I want to follow up and hear about, what's happened with the Black Lives Matter piece as well, because I know that that's really been something around the country that people have been advocating for. So good for you. Victoria, what message do you want to share with teenagers around the world that's actually watching the show, actually watching you? What's your message to them?
My main message to all of the youth out there would have to be yourself and never give up on your hopes and dreams. I know that's something that most people probably hear really often and probably disregard it sometimes, but it truly does make a difference. Being able to be in touch with who you are and be confident in what you do really helps in being able to achieve what you want to do in your future, and just continue to work hard and push for the things that you really enjoy and are passionate about. And remember that everything that you want to do in your future, you need to make sure that it's something that you truly want to do and something that you would love to do for the rest of your life. Because as Gloria said before, it definitely will continue to just be enjoyable as you do it, and it won't feel like you worked a minute of your life. And so, yeah, that would be my main message. And I hope that you will also continue to uphold your family's culture. For me, it's learning my mom's language and attending Vietnamese events, having so many Vietnamese dresses, and just being able to be in touch with my culture. And I think that that's something that's really important too. And I hope that the youth out there will all also continue to uphold their family's culture.
Yeah. Oh, that is so wonderful, Victoria. And I know that you're going to be successful because you're determined.
Thank you.
And you've got the right, oh, there's no question about your determination. Like I said, when I met you almost 4 years ago, and I've watched you grow into this wonderful, awesome young woman. And you know something? A lot of teens are just full of themselves, and that's not you. You're just grateful for the gifts that God has given you, and that says a lot. Again, it comes back to your belief and what your parents have poured into you as well. But at the same time, thank you for that. But as an entrepreneur, because I see you as an entrepreneur too, what advice would you give to young people that may have a dream, they have an idea, but they're afraid to step out there and to go for it? And in some cases, there are some kids who may not, or should youth, who may not have the same type of uh, family background. So, what advice would you give to those who believe that they have this dream, this idea, but they're just afraid? Whether it's peer pressure or whether they just aren't confident in themselves, what would you say to them?
I would say that it definitely takes time. I mean, I started going out and singing when I was about 8, and my, I guess you could say, my big thing that happened in terms of my performing, which would definitely have to be when I was signed to the Vietnamese production company. That was 3 years after. And it definitely takes time to build the connections. You have to go out and meet people and just know that whatever you are doing, you can definitely not only just make it work, but become very successful with it, because there's just so much opportunity out there right now, especially in our day and age. And so I'm hoping that whatever ideas or dreams that you have, you'll definitely be able to either seek out the resources or just build your own platform, either through social media, which has become really helpful these days in terms of um, building a business or working on something that you are currently passionate about. But yeah, I would just say really just believe in yourself and know that I believe in you, and there's probably so many people around you that believe in you as well. And I know for a fact that you'll be able to succeed if you just you know put it out there, and you can never go wrong, really.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that. And again, I know that people probably have a lot of questions, and the time seems to just get away from us. But what I would like to do is, before we close out the show, I'd like to bring your dad back in and ask if he has any final remarks or comments as it relates to parents and those suggestions. So let's see, Mr. Vincent, are you there?
Yes, hello.
All right. So let's see. What would you say to those parents as it relates to pouring into their children, pouring into those talents that their kids may have?
Wow, I was thinking right up. Uh, First of all, now that I have one kid in college and one about to go to college, all the things and activities your kids are involved in, make sure you write them down so you can go back and remember what they did and when they did it and how they enjoyed, how successful they were at it. Um, the other thing is just get your kids involved as much as possible and find the things they enjoy the most, because what they enjoy the most, what they will uh, perform the best at. My son plays violin in the orchestra since he was in the 5th grade, but he really enjoys the guitar much more. So he plays it much more often, right? And they both got their black belt in Taekwondo, and it took a while, like 7 years, and they both wanted to stop. But my thing was, you want to prove to the world and to yourself that you can stay committed and complete something. So yeah, some things may take a long time, and some things may not be what you're going to continue on the rest of your life. But make sure you complete something. Start anything. It doesn't matter. Don't wait until you figure out what you like and then do it. Do something and then continue on. And as you continue on through it, you'll realize what you enjoy the most. So they both finished their Taekwondo belt, and it was a struggle at times, but then they really enjoy it. So get your kids involved as much as possible. Spend as much time with them as possible, and make sure you write down the things that they're doing so that when it's time to go for college, they will have these things to talk about in their essays. Because it's really important to have things to talk about in your essays. And I think a lot of kids, and especially my son, realized, he looked back on it and goes, wow, this really helped out because he had things to point out to show his commitment to finishing some things, commitment to education, commitment to working in the community with community service, very important. And just trying to make sure they read as much as possible. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. You know what? You bring up an excellent point, and I'm so glad that you did, because making sure that your child or children, that they are involved in a number of things, because that's what colleges are looking for. What do? You know, it used to be that it was all about the athletes, and it's not like that anymore. And even if you're athletic, they're not looking for a dumb athlete. They're looking for someone who's smart. And I don't say that to be disrespectful, but you know, I grew up in that era where other people were doing your homework. All you had to do was just show up, you know, for work. And I mean, for class, and that wasn't the case. And so when we really think about what it is that we really need to be doing, we need to make sure that these kids are volunteering, that they can say that they've done this. And then that they can show that they're empathetic to situations and what is going on. They're knowledgeable about what's happening around the world. And you see that with children talk about climate change. You see that with them talking about the fact that there really and truly are people. Victoria just said she wants to be a physician. Well, guess what? There are different diseases and things that are on the horizon right now. So as a result of that, that's part of pouring into your children. And you said a key word. If you can't write an essay, I'm sorry. They're not looking to have you join the team. That's not what they're looking for. Right. So I'm just so glad that you actually brought out those points. I do want to say to you guys that the comments that has just been crazy. People have gone crazy, but I didn't want to just detract and take away. Right? But I will share those with you. Here's what I would, just say for those of you who are wanting to find out how do you stay in contact with, Victoria. I'm going to put up on the screen in just a couple of seconds here how you can follow her on her Facebook page. She's on TikTok, she's on Twitter, she's on Instagram, she's everywhere. Again, Victoria, I'm not going to even ask you how you keep up with all of that. But I'm glad you have the energy to do so. But these are the things that we definitely want to make sure that people follow you. So, you guys, what I'm going to say is, first of all, to all of you who've tuned in, first of all, thank you for your comments. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the show. You didn't get the memo. I want to thank my guests, Miss Victoria Twee V. McDowell and her father, Vincent McDowell, for joining me today. I want to ask you to tune in next week for a discussion. I have a rheumatologist, and we're going to be talking about autoimmune diseases. And I'm very interested in talking with her because I myself have been diagnosed with one. And so this is going to be another great show. But I want to remind you guys to be sure and tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for, again, another dope, fire episode of You Didn't Get the Memo show. I'm also going to ask you that you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As a reminder, I want to just say this to you guys. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. So please wear a mask, practice social distancing, and excellent hand washing. Remember this, you guys, that the quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Until this time next week, I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. I want you guys to be well, be blessed, and to know that it's all about what you give, not about what sometimes somebody's always given to you. Take care, guys.